want to talk about my favorite thing in the world tonight again, because when you have something that's like your favorite thing in the world, you just want to keep talking about it because it's your favorite thing in the world. And my favorite thing in the world is humility, which the other word that came to mind, and I actually made a YouTube video about this earlier and posted it and then deleted it because I didn't like it. And it was called What is Acceptance? Because humility is very much acceptance, and it's the first step to really moving forward in life. And something that has just hit me in the most profound way recently that's so important if we want to move forward. And it's so foundational to living a life of peace and accomplishing all that we want to accomplish. And that's realizing one fundamental truth. You are in need. Period. You are dependent inherently. You are a creature. You are not God, basically. And it's in acknowledging this this is the path of acceptance, accepting that is the truth, and that our only power is to cooperate with receiving what is we need. But if you think about, you need air, you need water, you need food, you need other people to help you get everything that allows you to continue to survive every single day. I remember talking with my mother-in-law one time when my kids were little about how, we were talking about pregnancy and in particular conception, and she's a nurse, and she was like, if you really think about, if you look at the science of how conception occurs, it's like a miracle that anyone ever gets pregnant because it's such a complex thing. And yet obviously we know people get pregnant all the time when they're trying not to. And when I think about being here alive right now, it's a miracle that all the things that had to happen for me to be here right now happened. Being alive is a miracle. It is a fucking miracle that any of us are here. And this is the place from which we can begin to see how beautiful life really is. And in terms of my spin on things, which is towards people who are human, people who are rewiring their brains, and people who are experiencing any kind of difficulty or struggle in life that they want to find success in addressing, it's really important to acknowledge the truth that as creatures, we are inherently dependent, we are inherently in need. Because so much energy I see spent, and I used to be this person, so much energy I see spent on fighting what is, fighting the fact that, fighting the work. I used to be this way for a long time, and I've seen many people who just resist pillar number one so much when it comes to DNRS, accepting that it's just your brain and that you have to do the work. And it's kind of, part of the process, I think, for everyone at some point. Not everyone, but a lot of people just struggle with accepting that this is my responsibility. All the power is mine and no one else can do this for me. It's up to me to decide that I want this bad enough to figure out how to make it work. This is my responsibility. It's facing that reality that I have to do this. I have to find a way to make this work for myself because no one else can be me for me. And you have to jump off that cliff. You have to jump into the ocean. You have to jump off the deep end. You have to do that crazy thing. It feels like, if you've ever seen the movie Avatar, and there's, I love that movie, but there's a scene where, so this is only specific to those of you who've seen the movie. You haven't watched it. It's such a good movie. He makes this one crazy move, and he becomes Taruk Makto, and it's that's my recovery. There's so many moments where I was like, I gotta go be Taruk Makto right now. I gotta go do this just super crazy ass thing that seems totally illogical because there's no other way I'm gonna succeed. I gotta go do that right now. And success and freedom lie just beyond accepting the truth. For me, my recovery really clicked when I realized I'm just a person who needs love. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm human, like everybody else. I'm capable, like everybody else. And every pop and every it I have, all these, the looping thoughts and the bodily symptoms and the emotional symptoms and the psychological symptoms and the mental symptoms are all just my very being crying out for love. That's it. And once I began to treat every single one that way, I began to heal. And within a couple months, I hit my first time ever of experiencing recovery for a period of time, which after that I had to relapse because I stopped putting self-love first. And that's been the constant struggle of continuing to accept that is still true and that is still reality, and you can't go around it. And this is what acceptance is saying, okay, if I understand how reality works, I have to work with it. I have to conform to it. Otherwise, it's going to break me. You know, you can throw yourself against reality and it's going to win every time. God doesn't bend. We break. You can't throw yourself against that and survive it intact. And that's what humility is. That's what acceptance is honoring, like, yes, I have to conform to what is. I have to, if I want to succeed. And when it comes to the opposite, what happens when so there's this saying that what we resist persists. And it's also what we fear. What we fear and what we resist will always persist. What we welcome with an open heart and listen for the message behind, like, there are so many situations in life that are just difficult. And one of the things that it's one of the most powerful practices is to be with yourself when you're suffering for some reason. When you're and one of the things I'm told so often is, but I just can't stand that sensation, whatever it is. Like, everyone's got the thing they just don't want to feel. And it's the very fact that you don't want to feel it that makes it keep coming, because it's some part of you bringing you a message and it's knocking on the door and you just ignore it. I mean, the messenger emotions are they're just messengers. And same thing with, if you're doing DNRS, all your symptoms are just messengers. And if you don't take the message, if you don't listen for the message behind the discomfort, it's not going to go away. It's not. You have to take the message. You have to take the lesson. You have to learn it if you want to graduate to the next level. There's no skipping levels in this game of life. There isn't. So one of the most important skills we can learn is to be with ourselves and accept and say, what are you trying to tell me? I accept you as you are. This is also a deeper level of shadow work. So for those of you who've watched my Integrating Your Shadow Self video, this is shadow work. When you accept all of your emotions without judgment about every aspect of life, even the ones other people would be like, oh, you shouldn't feel that way about this. You shouldn't feel, when you say, yeah, no, there's no shoulds. Emotions aren't right or wrong. They just are. And you sit with yourself through that and you embrace it with love. It just dissolves. It just dissolves like a wave in the ocean. Comes forward, and it's like, if you resist it, it just looks so scary, and if you just embrace it, it just kind of fizzles out, and it passes when it's embraced and welcomed with love. And sometimes for DNRSers, that might look like, a lot of times what it looks like, practically speaking, a practical tip here, is just staying in dose as you listen for what the underlying message is behind your limbic system's message or the difficult emotions. And this goes too for accepting yourself as a person. Like I struggled with this I'm still working on it, more and more as time goes on. I'm me. I'm a strong flavor. I'm too much for a lot of people, and there's a lot of people who don't like me, and a lot of people where it's just, for whatever reason, some of the relationships that I've wanted most haven't worked out. And it's like, well, but I still got me. And I choose to love me because I love being myself, and other people's feelings about me are their business, not mine. And it's just, there's just kind of a fact of it just being like, well, okay, I'm loud. I like to dance. I like to shake my booty. Not everyone likes that. I'm okay with it, and I'm okay with other people not being okay with it. I'm not going to stop. And it just makes life so much easier when you kind of accept, yeah, hey, this is it. This is what is. This is the reality of what is. Another one that's really touched a chord deep in my heart that has taken a lot of coming back to and accepting over and over again on a personal level has been the fact that because of my brain injury and recovery process, I've missed out on a couple years of my kids' lives. And my reintegration into their lives has been slow and very choppy. And there's a large part of me that, if I really think about that, I would just start crying because it's sad and I don't really want it to be that way. But if I let myself stay in this victim mindset and be sad, all it does is move me farther away from emotional stability and recovery, further levels of recovery, which will allow me to get back to them. So it's just been this radical accepting of, hey, those kids aren't my kids. They're God's kids. And I'm grateful that my husband takes care of the kids and that I have my mom to help, and I've got all this support system to help take care of my kids while I'm busy doing what I need to do to become a mom. Like to finish raising myself and become capable of handling 5 kids every single day for hours a day. It's a big job for anybody. And yeah, it's just taken this radical level of acceptance over and over and over again of, hey, this is what is, and I can either be resentful of it or I can be grateful for it. Grateful that I still have these kids. I get to live in the house with them. There's people taking care of them. They're well loved and cared for. And I am their mom, and I will have the chance to reintegrate into their lives. They're still young. And it's a big thing, that's a big thing to have to just say, yeah, this is what it is. And if I want to actually be there for them, I've got to raise myself right first. I can't give them what I don't have. That's a fact. And I'm determined to give them a mother who can do and be all that I want to be for them. And yeah, so that's life situation. That's an example of a life situation. But ultimately, it's only through accepting I gotta conform to reality if I want this to work, if I want to succeed. I gotta play by the rules of life. And it's a bit like eating dirt sometimes. But it's really good. Like, it's very grounding. And there's something incredibly freeing about that, because when you realize you're not God, and that all your stressing and worrying and obsessing about things doesn't actually do anything but keep you stuck, you can let it all go and be like, hey, that wasn't really actually making anything happen in my life, really. Not that was truly good. Not that was truly real. My very existence is a miracle. I might as well enjoy that and allow that ease to flow over into your relationships and into your life. And it does, and it heals things. There's something so incredibly freeing about knowing that we are dirt, essentially. Like, I say that to myself. It's actually like it's part of the, the Ash Wednesday Mass. I'm Catholic, and I didn't even go to Ash Wednesday Mass this year. But it just comes to me, and I think it to myself, like, I am dust, and to dust I shall return. Like, I'm nothing. I'm no one. Who am I to stand up and claim that I deserve to XYZ, whatever. I deserve to experience God in this moment. But from that place, we receive abundance when we actually say, hey, I'm hungry, well, then I should eat. Hey, I need to love myself, well, I'm going to go do that. And then healing comes, and then abundance comes, and everything you want comes. It follows that. It all starts with accepting it and then doing the work. And understanding that you have all the power to choose your perspective, and you have all the power to step back and receive, to believe you're worthy of having your needs met, all of them. And then to stand up for yourself and say, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get my needs met. I'm going to find ways to nurture myself. I'm going to find ways to soothe myself. I'm going to find ways to be grateful for what I have and take a different perspective, because I know it'll allow me to move forward. I know it will lead to healing. And I trust the process of life. Trust is one of the most powerful things in the world. And again, it all starts with admitting the truth, that we need something. So, yeah, I just can't even describe the radical freedom of humility. It is the most freeing thing in the world. It detaches you from your ego, it detaches you from your worry, it detaches you from all the things you don't want, and frees you up to receive everything you do want to receive. So that's my kind of reflection. It's almost more of a reflection than anything else, but it's on my heart. It's been on my heart all day, and it's my favorite thing in the world. It's so freeing, and it's so beautiful. It's so real, and it's so true. And that's the only thing that will ever satisfy us, is the truth. And real things, solid things. So, go feed yourself. Accept yourself, accept your humanity, accept your dependency, and then allow yourself to receive all that God wants to give you. And again, replace that word with whatever resonates with you, but allow yourself to receive that abundance. All my love to you, my friends. Have a good night.